How's it going, guys? Just out in the garage for a minute. Wasn't home today, but did get a package. We got the Milodon pickup. This is what we're going to use to fabricate our new pan. Okay, it's obviously longer. The actual pickup area is deeper, so it's not running in a slit and running sideways, and it's got a nice spacing. Unlike AMC uses a little plastic button that falls off and this gets sucked to the bottom and you lost your engine. So we got that, that's good. And we got the B&M trans kit for the Torque Flight, or what they call the Torque Flight 8 is what a 727 is. Torque Flight 6 is a 904. So we're going to get working on this thing probably Monday, right? Yeah, tomorrow's not a good day. We re-supported the bench. I grabbed 2 pieces of wood. I just have to put a top on here, which I'm going to do, and we should be good. We're going to do a little configuring in the garage, you'll see, to make this more of a work area and protect my car. I mean, that is important. The most important thing is protecting the car, and that'll allow us to work in here and not worry about damaging the car. So I was watching Darren's video, his latest video, when he's talking about how many subscribers you have and whatnot, and how your videos matter. I did comment back that I don't have a big channel, which I don't, especially when you look at some of these channels that are ridiculously big. Some of them have 1 million plus subscribers on them. Mine is almost 2,000, a little less than 2,000. I got 1,200,000 something views, and it isn't my regular videos that, and made me think of it as what he said, it isn't my regular videos that are getting the views. It's some of the earlier ones when I talked about timing belts on Mitsus and Toyotas and some basic stuff on those cars that are getting hit hard with a lot of views. And I don't make my videos like you see these guys make the videos where it's a big production and they stand in front of the camera, and they use high-end cameras and they're edited, and they do all this stuff. I talk the way I talk. I say it in layman's terms, and a lot of times I stumble because my brain isn't working in layman's terms, but I'm talking in layman's terms, so it's almost like talking 2 languages and trying to translate as you're talking. If anybody knows me, they'll know exactly what I mean with that. But when I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about the channel, I was hoping, truthfully, one of the biggest things I push out there isn't any kind of knowledge at all. I was hoping one of the things that people get from the videos is, A, you could do it yourself, no matter where you are and how limited your tools are. And B, you don't have to pay full price to do it if you're willing to sink a little bit of time into something. And I'm hoping, it's not all out in front of you yet, but I'm hoping that you guys have been following along and you realized how little money we've spent on this Concord project so far, and how much we could have spent if we would have just opened up magazines and catalogs and just started ordering stuff. It's going to be like a 90% used build, truthfully, when you think about it. And I'll give you a quick example. I ordered the cross member for the front of the car. I was not going to do that. I was set against that from the beginning. Okay, there was no reason why I couldn't just fabricate those mounts other than time. It was going to take time. Junior decided, on the other hand, that he was going to make my life easy for once, and he was just going to get a cross member. And that's how that all went down. But to make a long story short, I was offered that cross member at a really good price. It came, it was damaged, we all know this. I contacted the guy, we talked it out, no big deal. The money I saved that he sent back from the cross member paid for 75% of transmission. That's how the projects go. You just keep saving in one area and reinvesting in another, and next thing you know, you have all the parts. Now you watch these videos at a high end in these nicely lit shops with these guys building these engines and all this stuff. They're not buying those parts. Those parts are supplied to them. Either that or their channel is so big that the checks are coming in and they're using the money towards it to keep their channel growing and going. That's not the way we work here. Everything you saw me do up until this past year was pretty much funded through our swap meeting, and that was it. And I'll be truthful with you, we only took 10% of the swap meet money towards the cause. The other 90% went towards, family stuff, and giving it to my wife to do whatever we needed done around the house or whatever, the family junk. So I would make sure that when we went to a swap meet, that either we found something really good for Junior that he could take home, or I would just give him money for spending the day there, for doing such a great job, because he did 95% of the selling. He made more money at it than I did. He was better at it than I was. Just as honest as I am, but definitely a better salesman. So I felt he deserved to be paid. And I would find myself something and then whatever. But that's how the projects around here are built, and I was hoping from my videos that people would realize that you can save money and get the same results. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a professional at anything. If we get back into the bodywork, I'm not a professional at it. But if you shop around, you could save money on the materials. If you shop around, you could save money on a gun. You know what I mean? If you want to do it yourself, you save all the money on the labor. If you take your time, you can get the panel just as straight or very close to going to a professional. I'm talking about a good professional. And a lot of times, you can get the panel better, meaning for the rust coming back, because a lot of places it's in and out. They don't have time to do it the way you guys have been doing it. I watch a lot of you people, and it's actually mind-boggling, because if all these shops did it the way you guys are doing it, you wouldn't be repainting the car 5 years down the road like you are. I don't mean that as an insult at all. It's just that's the way business is. Business is business. The quicker it's in, quicker it's out. The quicker you get the next one in and make more money. You know what I mean? But like I said, I am going to make up a tally on the parts that we've acquired for this Concorde and how much I've paid for them, and what they cost if I would have ordered them. And it's gonna blow your mind. We're probably at a $5,000 savings already just to do this car. Like I said, it's not cheap. I got multiple projects going. The money towards the projects just doesn't flow out. So when I say I'm going to work on it, it might be weeks. You know what I mean? It might be lingering. You might see me work on it for a year or whatever it is. That's just life. Because life around the house comes before projects. Even though the projects will keep me going, that's just the way it is. But getting back to this, we should be good to go. Even when we open up this unit, if there's any failed hard parts, I have another unit to dive into. But like I said to Junior, if it's one piece, like a drum or something is bad, and it's not that much money, I'll probably just purchase it rather than tear apart a unit and have it just a unit 1,000 pieces. So, but the fluid is spotless in this unit. I didn't take the torque converter. The fluid in the torque converter was red also, so they were definitely a match. And you pull that stick out, there's not much fluid in this thing, but the fluid's clean. So that doesn't mean anything. It could have a broken band. It could be, the front clutches could be smoked. It just tells me that it didn't have the same fluid in it for 40 years and constantly driving uphill, and the cooler was clogged. That's about all it tells you. And with that said, I think we're going to call it for the night. It's been a long day, been a long year. Did I want the year to end? Nah, not necessarily. Not like most years. Most years you say to yourself, wow, I'm glad it's over. Let's start fresh. No, the way my year ended, I hope I continue like this for a very long time. I don't want to rewind the year, that I can tell you. I don't want to rewind the last couple of years. But, no, I think the year ended very well. Happy with the way it ended. And hopefully this one coming up, we're in it now. Speaking of that, today, which is what, January 2nd, I just started my 30th year in the automotive field professionally. This day. Because I remember the shop I went to, the dealership I went to, I got hired in December, but I started January 2nd. I did pick out a cam. Junior kept telling me he wanted a certain cam. The cam didn't sit right with me over and over and over again. I just couldn't do it. If you pick out wheels, you can unbolt them and change them. The cam is the heart of everything. I know what he wants. I don't need the same mistakes that I made at his age. I want him to be able to get in his car and be satisfied with what he did to a point. You know, we're never going to get it perfect. There is no perfect combination. And he kept looking at comp cams, and comp did not have the grind that we wanted. To me, I think most of the grinds are just generic. They stamp out a number, then they make it for every brand. They stamp out a grind, then they make it for every brand. And I'm sorry, every engine is not the same. These heads don't flow like a small block Chevy or whatever it is. They actually flow almost 50% better. So why would I use a grind that they were initially ground for a small block Chevy when I have more potential sitting in his engine with different flow rates and stuff like that? Different shaped chambers, everything's different. And I went with a company that makes cams, even their pre-made cams, are specific to certain engine manufacturers, period. So if you look up the specs for a Rambler and you look up the specs for a Chevy, you look them up for a Ford, they might have the same lead number, but the grinds are different. And it's not just in the lift because you have a different rocker arm ratio, it's different. And this is the brand we went with. Oh, I think I peeled it off my car. Yeah, it's only on the other side on my car. But that's who we're going with, again. That's who I used for my car. This time I didn't speak to him on the phone. 11 years ago I called him on the phone. And I described what I had and we came up with a cam. Now I knew what I wanted in my head. And I went online and they had something right there. So I was like, we're done. We're golden. They do cost you a couple dollars more than a comp cam in reality. The cam, I'm just getting cam and lifters from them. Cam and lifters are a couple of dollars more than a comp cam, but not a lot. Not a lot for me to put in what I wasn't looking for. So I think that's the difference between a young engine builder and a wise engine builder. A wise engine builder will put in what he chooses as long as he can keep it within his budget. I mean, if budget was unlimited, we wouldn't even be playing with this motor. But you know, this is first time build. You got to remember that. First time build. I'm just guiding and instructing. And I want to make sure that the parts that I can't change will, you know, be good enough. So, I mean, we'll still have the weak link of the rods flying through the side of the motor, but you know what? If that happens, it happens. And with that, I'm calling it a night again. Have a good night, guys.